Oh, here it goes. Now, you guys looking at my YouTube page?
No, looking at the Lions Quest partnering with the DEA.
Good. Here it goes. Now, you guys looking at my YouTube page? Why don't I mute myself?
I see that it says live on YouTube, copy streaming link, so I will just put that on my Facebook page. I put the link on my Facebook page and all I see is family to family. And
Do you see us moving and talking?
no, not with that, not with the link that shows on the, let me just try that again. Sorry, everybody.
That's okay. So I'm gonna pause the share for a second, just so I can test the link. Thank you guys for your patience.
Helen will be home pretty soon.
Yeah, I promise it's worth it. So I'm just checking the link here. Okay, so I do see. Just so I can test the link. Thank you guys for your patience.
Okay.
I'll be home pretty soon. Yeah, I promise it's worth it. So I'm just checking the link here.
That link works because I posted it and it's not showing us moving.
Okay, so I believe that people are going to have to click that link. So I'm posting it. So I do see. So I can test the link. Thank you guys for your patience. Okay. Yeah. I'll be home pretty soon. Yeah. I promise it's worth it. Okay, so I think that we are good to go. People are going to have to click the link in order to be taken to the video. So if you want to add into the post that they have to click it, then that might be helpful as well.
Sure. Okay.
And I think we are ready for prime time. I'm going to have to cut the front part of this video off so that, you know, yeah, we've got people with us that are part of the green room for this live presentation, right? So I'll give myself a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and we are live. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session, Lions Quest partnering with the DEA to prevent substance use disorder. I am Lion Kimberly Haynes. I'm the charter president of the Knights of Prevention and Education Cyber Lions. I'm also the program development specialist for the Lions Quest Social and Emotional Learning Program at Lions Clubs International Foundation. And so while we are here today, we will be sharing some information with you regarding our partnership with the DEA. So I am going to ask that you switch your microphones to mute. If you are not part of the presentation, if you turn your cameras off, you may save more bandwidth. I would also encourage you that if you have any other applications that are open, that you may want to shut those down as well in order to allow Zoom to have as much space as needed to share the presentations. This session is being recorded, so we are going to ask that you hold your questions until the end. You're also able to use the chat box, and we will attend to the questions that are in the chat box. And hopefully we'll have ample time at the end to engage in discussion and conversation. I would also like to thank Multiple District 4 in California for being generous hosts for this event today. And we are looking forward to bringing the partnership and Lions Quest into the multiple district in the state of California. Today, we are going to be joined by Gail Parker, who is a community outreach specialist with the Drug Enforcement Administration, and I'll be introducing her in just a short time. But I do want to kind of give you a little bit of a background of our relationship with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. Back in 2018, through attending an event at the CACA conference, which is Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, we were actually presenting on the Lions Quest program with the drug prevention coalition that we worked with. And we had an opportunity to have a conversation with some leadership from the DEA and found out about a number of programs that the DEA has through initiatives such as DEA 360, and Operation Engage, which Gail is going to talk about a little bit later. And we had a lot in common because the foundation, as you know, publishes and supports a program that we call Lions Quest. Lions Quest is one of the nation's leading positive youth development program. We are used in more than 103 countries, and we are a gold standard program with more than 30 years of research to prove the effectiveness of the work that we do. The Lions Quest program is based on social and emotional learning, which a lot of people may talk about SEL or social and emotional learning in terms of maybe being life skills or social skills or soft skills. But these are precisely the type of skills that we try to help young people learn, because we understand that when we as individuals understand how to practice self-management and self-awareness, or we are aware of the things that are going around us, and that's socially awareness, responsible decision-making, and we really form these positive relationships and learn relationship skills. The research shows that it leads to a much healthier lifestyle, including a reduction in a lot of the risky behaviors that we see youth engage in. And specifically, we understand that it does lead kids to live a healthy and drug-free lifestyle. One of the reasons that we work with the Lions Quest and the DEA is because other things that we have in common is the desire to build healthy relationships in schools and the community amongst peers and adults, to lower the risk of substance use, help young people to choose conflict resolution over aggression, and to address bullying. And we've also found that when we have students and teachers or schools that engage with the Lions Quest program, we do see reduced rates of truancy, and we see an overall improvement of the way young people are able to connect with their schools and their communities through service. And also, we always ask the question, why Lions? Lions are local community partners, not only to our schools, but also to some of our national partners, such as the DEA. As Lions Clubs, you represent a resource in that community that not only has the general goodwill and perseverance of the individual clubs, but also because we're connected to an international network of service-minded professionals. Lions model the key elements of the Lions Quest program, which are kindness, diversity, leadership, and service to others. But I think more importantly, we know that Lions can mobilize and raise awareness both globally and locally, really to meet the needs of the families that are within your communities and within your Lions districts. When we talk about Lions Quest, we do have an actual curriculum-based program that comes both print and digital. And this is your traditional lesson plans, activities, student engagement, parent engagement resources. And we do cover learning for children, grades pre-K through 12. Our department also offers professional learning and leadership development for Lions, for teachers, for school staff, for youth serving organizations, and other youth serving professionals. And we do this both virtual and in person. One of the things that is unique about the Lions Quest program within the constellation of LCI and LCIF is we're one of the only programs of the association that actually has our own website. So I would definitely encourage you to visit us on the web at www.lions-quest.org. And one of the things that I would like to talk about before we introduce our speaker is that, we've worked in partnership with the DEA now for close to 3 years now. And what we really found is that the DEA really does value the partnership with Lions in a way that really supplements a lot of the work that we do locally. And being able to bring this opportunity to have this conversation to the multiple district is really important today. And so I would like to reserve some time to answer more questions, to talk more about specifically how we can support MD4 in creating this local partnership with the DEA. And I think that after we hear from Gail, that will be a great time to actually engage you all in some questions. We can play out some scenarios, and I'm more than happy to also make myself available to come back and be part of any follow-up conversations that would be maybe about planning for additional activities in the multiple. So for now, I'd like to introduce you to Gail Parker. Gail Parker is a community outreach specialist on the Operation Engage program with the Drug Enforcement Administration. While she's new to the LA area, she is not new to the DEA or to prevention. Gail has over 25 years of experience in the human and direct services industry, and she's held several leadership roles in the juvenile justice system, children and family services, private integrative counseling services, family and substance abuse counseling, and her most recent role of community outreach for the New Hampshire DEA 360 program with the DEA. Now, in this position, she extended her reach to Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts. She worked with the state and the local government, educational institutions, law enforcement, businesses, coalitions, youth serving community agencies, and she worked with recovery and treatment centers to combat the opioid epidemic. Gail has extensive experience with prevention, substance misuse, and mental health, and she was honored to provide training and development of other social service workers when the Annie Casey Foundation and Kellogg Foundation called upon her. Gail's academic background includes an undergraduate degree in psychology from Ohio University and a master's of education with a focus in counseling from Cleveland State University. In addition, her professional duties, her passion for holistic wellness motivated her to become a certified herbalist and an author of a wellness lifestyle book. She served on several boards of several nonprofits, including the Boys and Girls Club and American Diabetes Association. She volunteers with Big Brothers and Big Sisters and has been a big to several young women. She's also volunteered at many homeless shelters and food pantries. Gail enjoys the outdoor, traveling, staying fit, and empowering others to live a healthy and balanced lifestyle. While she discovered her passion in helping others overcome substance misuse, she realized her purpose is doing so through prevention. And I must say that Gail and I have known each other now for almost 2 years. From her time in New Hampshire, she is a phenomenal outreach coordinator. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the DEA program as well as to this partnership. So it is really my honor to introduce her to the multiple district. And so Gail, I would like to allow you to now take over the presentation and share your screen. And I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kim, and so much, Linda, for putting this together. And thank you all for joining. And I hope that I'm able to give you a lot of information today. And then also for you to have a greater understanding, like with what Kim stated in terms of us supplementing the work that you do. And that's exactly what we want to do with other community members. So Kim, I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
You're good.
Okay, perfect. So basically what we're going to talk about a little bit today is the drug threats and the problems that we're seeing within California. As Kim mentioned, that I also started with a 360 program from New England. And, you know, basically we're looking at various numbers, but in terms of the drug threats within itself, I have to say that we're seeing it across the board and we're seeing that nationally. We'll also talk about who is DEA. And the one thing that resonates with me that I've been hearing over and over this past month is that the DEA that you think exists is not the DEA that exists. So I'm hoping to be able to change your opinion in terms of what you think DEA is and what we do. We talk about diversion control, community outreach, Operation Engage, now and then and what it looks like now, as well as some of our deliverables and the solutions, as well as resources. And then we'll open it up for question and answers. Oh, I can't get it to the next screen, Kim. There we go. So this is just within Los Angeles. As you see on the screen, the numbers continue to increase in terms of our opioid involved deaths. And I want to clarify when I say that, and you'll see it in parentheses there, the numbers as well that affects those who have been involved in opioid in deaths with fentanyl. Many people that we have talked to say, well, you guys are talking about opioids and you're not talking about fentanyl. And for us on this end, it's not one and the same, but what we are seeing is that things like opioid leads to more harder drugs, that leads to cocaine, leads to heroin, and leads to more counterfeit pills. And people are searching for that high, if I may. And basically that's where you end up. So no one is searching out fentanyl. Fentanyl is just in the counterfeit medication and in other drugs that they're finding on the streets. So that's how fentanyl is becoming involved. And you're seeing the increase in opioid deaths. And again, because of the fact that we're also dealing with a pandemic that we're in, which is COVID. And more people are turning to self-medication and medicating themselves, as well as they're finding different avenues and they're not realizing the tremendous amount of effect that this tiny little pill can actually have on the human body and how it can actually lead to addiction. So right now we're showing at 1,100. That's what we were showing for 2020. Actually, when 2020 ended, we are up to 23,000 overdose deaths within California. So we know the history behind this. We know the history behind the whole drug epidemic, even stemming going back to the opium war, right? That fentanyl and basically other drugs are coming in from the flow of China. So, and many people look to DEA and say, okay, you're part of the problem and not part of the solution, but that's where things change. And when they've hired people such as myself to come in and look at community outreach, but also that understanding that DEA does not make the rules, they don't make the law, we do enforcement and we do regulatory. And here's a few more numbers in terms of the divisions, other divisions, Riverside County, Ventura County, in terms of the counterfeit pills, that we have seized off the streets, and which is quite alarming. With when you're looking at, over 400,000 tablets alone within Los Angeles has been removed off the streets. We're also looking at illicit fentanyl. I just talked about that. So basically, you have a real pill and a fake pill. What we're seeing more and more is that the drug dealers are now becoming very savvy in terms of the machinery that they're purchasing and how they're making these pills, that to an unprofessional eye, you cannot distinguish the difference between a real pill and a fake pill. Part of the reason why we do education to youth is that to not accept any type of medication, over-the-counter and or prescription from someone else. It can be something as simple as a Tylenol, that it can say Tylenol on it and it's really not a Tylenol. So these are part of the things that we educate the public on. And again, you're looking at some of the fake versus real pills, and they're selling on the streets. They're being sold on social media. I just did another panel discussion a few months ago to a group of parents, and basically we took a survey, and out of the 50 parents, 86% of them were not aware that their kids can get drugs off of social media. So again, bringing this information to the public is very, very important for us to do. So as I mentioned earlier, when we're looking at DEA, many people know DEA to be enforcement and regulatory. We have the diversion side of DEA, in which looks at the regulations of pharmaceuticals coming in and out of manufacturers, doctors, pharmacies, and other types of vendors. We also have Take Back Day that happens twice a year. It's also coming up again this month. I believe it's on the 23rd of October. And Take Back Day, we're hoping to be able to make that more into a national event. We have some communities who are actually participating. And again, now because of COVID, we're unable to fully engage in the community in that sense. But typically what we look at doing is more of a health and wellness or a safety type of event where we have resources, we have vendors that come out, the Lions Club are there, and we're giving information back to the community that they would not otherwise have access to or realize that that's within their community. DEA decided to bring about Operation Engage, and a little bit of history behind that is that the community outreach aspect of DEA actually started back in 1986, and many people don't realize that. So it's been evolving since then. The difference is that we used to have agents that would go out into the community, but they found it more and more that was not well received. So therefore, they have made a commitment to take a different approach. And that part of that approach is hiring people such as myself. As Kim mentioned, I've been in this industry. I started off as a social worker, got my master's degree, practiced independently as a family therapist. I've also worked in substance misuse and residential care treatment. And that's exactly what they're looking for in the civilians that they are putting out in order to engage the community at their level, to be able to speak to the community and be able to reach and have a greater reach and greater impact with the community. Part of 360, we started back in 2017. I was not here in Los Angeles. I was actually in New England doing this program, and I started with them there. And pretty much we have seen the similar results in terms of success. We have done things like the Youth Summit, and we've partnered with CATCA, which is the Community of Anti-Drug Coalitions. Part of this Youth Summit for New England, at least, we invited the Wahlberg Foundation. Actually, Mark Wahlberg has a foundation, and we invited the Wahlberg Foundation to participate. And since then, they have now become the Wahlberg Youth Foundation and has partnered with DEA to continue to raise awareness around the whole opioid epidemic and given DEA a presence within the community and having us to recognize not that we're just law enforcement, but we're more than just law enforcement. We have partnered with other community members to educate community members across the diverse population in terms of a 3-pronged approach, which is basically to store, use, how you're storing your medication, how you're disposing of your medication, and how you're using your medication properly. The biggest part of this is developing and collaborating with partners, not only with youth serving agencies, but we're looking to the corporations to also partner with us and to assist us in taking programs into the community, but also helping us to sustain them within the community. We know that sustainability is huge. Consistency is huge when it comes to the community, and not just a matter of a one and done. What has changed with 360 and why the change? Number one, the name has changed because of our approach has also changed. DA realized that when we came on board, we were talking about opioids and not drug prevention, but opioid prevention. They realized, especially with professionals such as myself in the community and what we were getting feedback from in the community, it's a matter of, number one, it's drug prevention. Number two, it's a matter of the drug threats within that community, because every community is going to look a little bit differently. So we have to emphasize prevention efforts to that community and meet that community of where they are. So those are some of the differences between 360 and Operation Engage. So the Operation Engage is allowing us more flexibility in order to reach the community on a different level and how we speak to the community. One of the things that we're also looking at is it's our approach, and in terms of the content, that we realize that we have to start having the conversations around mental health, mental wellness, homelessness, our justice system, and how that interconnects with addiction. So you can't just speak about drug addiction or drug prevention without speaking to those issues at hand. So some of our strategies that we have looked at is that, of course, it's just myself that covers Southern California. So we're taking it piece at a time. So our area of focus for this year, we're looking at Los Angeles, Riverside, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo. We actually added informally to that Orange County because they were calling us. Really, they were knocking down our doors and asking us for help. And many people have said, well, Orange County, I mean, they have a lot of money. Why can't they find the resources? I don't know why, and it's not my place to answer that question, but it's my place to find them the resources in order to do the drug prevention work that they're looking to do and help them to get boots on the ground in order to move forward. And that's the greatest part of what we do and why we do it. It's looking at bridging the gap between public health and public safety. I love this quote by Maya Angelou that says, if you don't like something, you change it. And if you can't change it, you have to start changing your attitude about it. And as a society, as a public, we have to start changing our attitudes around addiction, particularly drug addiction, which also includes alcoholism, and look at the root factors behind that and remove the stigma so we can have openness about having those conversations. So part of just what I mentioned is having that openness about that conversation and including our Black, Brown, and Asian community on removing the stigma and taboo around the topics of mental health, wellness, well-being, homelessness, and the justice system and how this interconnect. We cannot begin to change behaviors until we learn how to change attitudes. So part of the Operation Engage initiative is, this is where you guys come in. It's reference to connecting with the field offices, connecting with the communities that we serve, and increase the number of members and awareness. Again, we're not in this alone. I am one person, I can't do it alone. But what I look to do is to bridge the gap between the community and the resources. If I can't do it, if I don't have the resources to do it, I'll definitely find someone who can look at doing that. And again, raising public awareness on local drug threats and changing attitudes to reduce, ultimately, reducing the overdose deaths within our community. So how do we do that? Part of how we do that is working with deliverables. So we start with stakeholders. We had a gathering. Right now we have the list of stakeholders. Actually, Lions Club is technically considered one of our stakeholders because they have a national contract and partnership with DEA, not just DEA Los Angeles, but with DEA headquarters out of DC. So one of the things that we look at doing is community and adult engagement. So we do different things such as community assessments. One of the things that we're also doing is a community summit that we have coming up. Unfortunately, but fortunately, we have had to go virtual with that. I think that it's better going virtual only because now we have a greater reach and therefore we can have a greater impact versus just doing it on a community level. We would love to be back in person and hosting these events again in person. But until then, right now, we're still carrying on and we're having it virtually on October 26th. And that's one of the ways that we reach the communities. We also participate in presentations such as this and speaking to the Lions Club and other different types of organizations. We engage the youth at their level, whether it's in school, whether it's after school care programs, that we also do that. We just wrapped up another youth leadership program with CATCA. And again, CATCA is the Community of Anti-Drug Coalition. They have a youth leadership program that we sponsored. We had up to 60 youth that attended that virtual training. It was a 4-day training, and it's teaching the youth leadership skills, giving them a voice, and giving them a platform in order to use that voice. So part of that, they were coming up with ideas within the community that needed to be changed, things within their schools that needed to be changed, and given the platform and given the tools of how to go about making that change. And just to give you a little bit of an example of what that entails, is that part of the training is called a photo voice training. And you would think that it's something so simple that the youth would go around their community and they're taking pictures of things that might look appealing to them or not so appealing, or things that they think that should not be there. When we did this in Massachusetts, the kids went around their neighborhood and they realized when they came back and put all their photos together, they realized there were over 15 vape shops within a 3-mile radius. If that's not alarming to anyone, something is wrong. There's definitely something wrong with that. The other part of that is that they started to see a consistency in the photos that they were taking in terms of the messaging, in terms of the position of where the vaping products were, in terms of the flavoring and the names. So they decided to partner with the Department of Health, and they wanted to do something about that. What happened? In December 2019, the Tobacco Control Act was passed in Massachusetts, banning, first of all, the advertising, banning vaping merchandise that was geared towards kids and the flavoring of vaping devices. So those are just a small step that we started taking with this youth leadership program and making it into something bigger that can happen within our society. Later on, I'll also show you a sticker campaign that our youth also did out of New Hampshire. This is something that we sent them off to Atlanta to do a train-the-trainer, and they were learning a medicine prevention training. The high school students were getting trained and coming back. A group of them were getting trained and coming back and teaching the elementary school and middle school kids in terms of over-the-counter medication safety. They decided they wanted to do more, that yes, we're talking about over-the-counter medication safety, but we are also in the middle of a pandemic, and that was in 2018. So they decided that we wanted to do a sticker and approach the pharmacies with these stickers, and they did. They developed the stickers. We helped them do them with one of our great partners, with Dartmouth Hitchcock, and their graphic design department. They help us to revamp that without taking away from the context of what the youth wanted, to make it more marketable. And they approach pharmacies with that. From that, many of the hospitals within New Hampshire then decided to have permanent disposable boxes. One pharmacy chain in particular decided to approve over 500 disposable boxes to go into their pharmacies nationwide. So again, we see it as small steps, and it seems like it's something seamless, but it can have such a great impact. And then the youth are also buying into this. They're believing in this. Number one, they're realizing that I have a voice and my voice can make changes. So we engage them in other opportunities, such as we have a strong partnership with the LA Sparks, and they do a mentorship program. They do a basketball clinic with the kids. And again, it's given opportunity when normally they would not have this opportunity. We also have media engagement. We have our local website. We now have a IG page. We now have a Facebook, not IG, I'm sorry. We have Facebook. IG is coming. For the longest time, we only had Twitter. Right now, we're also on a campaign of One Pill Kills. And it doesn't necessarily mean, sometimes to the community, when they hear One Pill Kills, they think, oh, well, okay, the person just took a pill one time. And that's not necessarily it. It's just that particular pill that actually caused them to have either an overdose or death involving because of an overdose. And it's possible that it could have been laced with fentanyl. A person just don't wake up one morning thinking, oh, well, I'm going to become a drug addict or any type of addiction for that matter. It's a process that happens over time. And as a society, we have to start recognizing not only the triggers, but actually recognizing the signs and symptoms that could lead to addiction. We have school engagement. Red Ribbon is also this month. Red Ribbon Week is also this month. We will definitely love to get the Lion's Quest program, the social emotional program, into the schools and into youth serving agencies within California. And our new one is a workplace engagement. We're working with the Melkin Institute to help us put together and reach for-profit organizations in terms of looking at their not only drug prevention of what they're doing outside of their company and agencies, but also what they're doing inside to create a drug-free workplace for their employees and make it a safe place for their employees. So part of this is that we look at our outcomes, right? Of course, we're a federally funded program. We have to look at outcomes. And when you're looking at prevention, it's very difficult to measure outcomes. And it's the one reason why, so many think that it's the last thing on the list. And we're the last to get money because in terms of prevention, and a lot of money go into recovery and treatment. And I'm not saying that it should not. What I'm also saying is that we have to look at the root cause and we have to start spending more money and putting money into prevention. So we look in terms of our increase in partnerships in public and private. We look at our increase in terms of community members and awareness, as well as our engagement and how many people that we're actually bringing to the table. And ultimately, we would want to see that number of overdose deaths start decreasing, not just due to our presence in the community, but bringing awareness to the community and bringing resources to the community. So as I mentioned earlier, some of the programs that we have, you see the sticker, and my frame is in the upper left-hand corner. That's actually the sticker that the youth developed. And it actually is now on, again, a particular chain of pharmacy is now using it on their bottle caps. They've actually shrinked it down to size. They're using it on their bottle caps, and where it's also saying that this product could be addictive. So again, it's just raising awareness and bringing awareness to the community. You also see another picture down there, which is the baseball program. We have the Dea Educational Foundation that brings out, we have the dance program, and these are all after school care programs. We have martial arts, we have Hooked on Fishing, and the baseball program. And again, these programs take money in order to sponsor them. So when we bring them into the community, we want to be able to sustain them into the community. And that's why we look for outside partners, that not necessarily to partner with us, but to partner with the community, that they can continue bringing these programs to the community. I want to play this video for you. Kim, can you guys hear that?
I don't hear it yet.
Oh, you may not be able to hear it. Let's see. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Your medicine cabinet.
Do your part. Go online and find it. Education
I'm sorry, the quality of sound didn't come through very well on that. But that was actually some of our youth that were involved in New Hampshire with the DEA program and with a coalition that's out there. And they worked on this PSA and they did this together with them. Some of the other things that we do is hidden in plain sight presentations. Right now, you think you're looking at just a desk or a bookshelf. And on that bookshelf, you actually have that cup that's in there of where, and these are products that that youth can just purchase online. And it's coming to their homes and their parents think, oh, they just ordered a coffee mug or a thermos or something, and not realizing that it's something that they can actually hide drugs in. You can have a book and they have a cutout within the book to hide drugs. And this is not a presentation that we would normally do with the kids, because of course we don't want them to know that we're giving their parents this information. But this again would be one of the adult community awareness that we're bringing awareness to the community. Even the camera that's down there, it has a little hidden compartment of where they can hide drugs in. What else do I see on here? There's one I have, I don't believe, oh, the brush that's on the bookshelf. The end of the brush actually unscrews, and it's a hollow piece, and you can actually put drugs in there to hide that. So this is information again, and these are projects that we bring to the community to raise awareness. And this is proof that it actually works. We have Take Back Day. This is an event that we did where the kids actually, they come out, they show up, they do informational stuff. One of them, they're at Take Back Day at the table, they're giving out information, they're giving out disposable packets that people can dispose of their medication at home, that you don't necessarily need to wait for Take Back Day to drop them off and or go to a disposable center. That we know that there's 67% of a chance that if the medicine's in your medicine cabinet, that a youth is going to get to it and they're going to become addicted. It's 67% of a chance that that can happen. So we want to make sure that we get all your medications out of the medicine cabinet. We have National Night Out. We do medicine prevention program, Train the Trainers, which is one of the ones that I just talked about with the sticker campaign. Some of the resources, and I would love to eventually have the Lions Quest on here, that we're utilizing that resource as well. The DEA has invested quite a bit into looking at science-based curriculum and also curriculum based on science and based on evidence in order to bring these free resources to the community. There's Operation Prevention. There's a ton of information on there, from parents to educators to workplace engagement, that you can download at no charge. Campus drug prevention gears more towards post-secondary education and students who are in college, that again, they and or their educators can download information in terms of curriculum for drug prevention. So these are all there at your disposal at no additional cost. Again, Red Ribbon Week is coming up. We're hoping for different places. We usually do this in public settings, such as City Hall or the governor's office, and we will put up information around there. But we need other businesses to also step forward and say, yes, we want to have a poster in our window. Or if you know of any businesses for the week of the 23rd, when Red Ribbon Week starts, to turn their light on red. If there's a monumental place within your community, to have them light it up red, again, bring in recognition to this. And the history behind Red Ribbon, again, started in 1986 when one of our agents, Kiki Camarera, was abducted and brutally tortured and ended up dying in the line of duty. That his family stepped forward and they said that we want to be able to raise awareness and to reduce drug violence within our community. And Red Ribbon Week came about. We don't like to necessarily say that Red Ribbon Week only happens in the last week of October, or not just for the month of October, but this is a drug awareness that we continue year round. Again, I mentioned the virtual summit. We would love for you to attend. I believe I have Kim and Linda now on my list. I will send out the information to you guys. It's a wealth of information that's going to be on this summit. We have a panel discussion where we would have law enforcement. I'm looking to a state senator representative to be on there, the U.S. Attorney's Office. We have a parent who has lost a child to addiction, as well as a therapist who has also gone through addiction, and now he's been in recovery for well over 15 years. He has a private practice, a successful private practice, working with also adults and youth for substance misuse. We also have a slew of other people, psychologists, looking at the science behind addiction. Again, it's all a matter of bringing awareness to the communities and bringing resources to the communities, but also starting to have that conversation. Again, we have the social media platforms that I mentioned. We have Twitter. We now have the Facebook page, and I believe we also have the IG page and our local website as well, which is operation in SoCal.dea.gov is the local website. Ben Franklin says an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and we have to continue to put money into prevention in order for us to continue to see end results and to continue to reduce the number of overdose deaths that we're seeing. For 2020, has been up to over 92,000 overdose deaths nationally. That number has got to and continue to decrease as we move forward. And prevention is a huge part of that. So thank you so much. Here is my information. You can reach out to me. Feel free to email me, call me. That is my cell phone number. I also have Ruth Morales on here, who's our diversion coordinator. She works with the registrant, so the doctor's office. She also works for Take Back Day. And then my supervisor, who is Mike Davis, he's also on here, and he's available for any questions at any time. So again, thank you so much. And thank you, Kim and Linda, for putting this together. And my hope is that we will have a strong partnership in California. And we also have 11 other cities that's also doing Operation Engage, that hopefully we'll have a more prominent partnership with the Lions Club. So I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Gail. I think that was really a wealth of information. And, we're just right before it's 8 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock your time. And so we did ask if you all would give us about an hour of your time. But I would like to first see if we do have any questions. And maybe if you guys are thinking about your questions, I can kind of give you an idea of some of the things that other Lions have done in partnership with the DEA. So last year we did a really good coordinated campaign with Lions from Ohio, from Florida, Texas. We did have participation as far as Nigeria, even though we don't necessarily do Red Ribbon Week there, a lot of people are interested in drug prevention. We've had district governors to do Red Ribbon Week proclamations and encourage the clubs to wear red ribbons. We worked with a group of young people through our club, COPE, that actually hosted a series of virtual webinars. They brought DEA members to kind of come and co-present with them to raise awareness and to share their insights as young people. And, we've done pledges. We've also supported some of the summits, like, this was pre-COVID, where we've had Lions to go out and volunteer at the event to help with registration, to give presentations, if that is something that you do in your professional life. And, we're really hoping that we can continue from the foundation's end to support Lions really bringing these partnerships to fruition. As Gail mentioned, one of the reasons that we're partners is because the foundation actually produces a drug prevention curriculum that is evidence-based and does work in schools. And Lions districts actually have opportunities to work with the DEA in California and to actually apply for grants from the foundation in order to support providing those schools with the curriculum and the training that the teachers and the staff would need to implement the program there, or we will also support after school programs.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Gail, this is Linda. Can you tell me more about the program on October, what is it, the 23rd? The 23rd?
26.
Oh, 26th. Yeah, what will that entail, and how can, I mean, I'll certainly share this video with the rest of the governors and ask for more information as the questions arise. But
yeah. And that's thank you, Linda, for asking that. And that's intended to previously, when we normally hosted in person, in the past we have hosted at the Ronald Reagan Library, and we will draw in anywhere from upwards of 700 to 800 people at that. And it's basically built around this whole premise behind building awareness and bringing resources to the community. And from the community's words, they're hearing it from the horse's mouth, right? They're getting the information from DEA. We would have the medical examiner's office there to give them information. We'll bring the U.S. Attorney's office in to speak to what's going on the streets in terms of, criminal activities and what are they doing about it, right? We'll bring in, I have a psychologist that's coming in and talking about the science behind addiction. I'll have people on the panel talking about local resources that we have that people might not be aware of. As I mentioned, it's not just a matter of talking about opioid prevention anymore. It's a matter of talking about the topics, the taboo topics surrounding them, looking at mental health, looking at mental wellness, looking at homelessness, looking at the justice system, and how those all interconnect with addiction. So that's the conversation that we want to be able to have at that community event, and to bring resources to the public to let them know that, yes, this is no longer a taboo topic, that here are some signs and symptoms. We have real life story from a young man who has gone through addiction. He spiraled out of control at the age of 16 when he learned that his parents, who he thought were his parents, were actually his adopted parents. So for him at that age, that was so traumatic. That was very traumatic. And it sent him spiraling out of control. He was a star athlete at his high school, on his way to having a scholarship at USC, and that all went away. Ended up in Skid Row in his early 20s, in and out of jail, did not have the support system that when he did go through treatment and he came out of jail, and what that looked like, and to stop the cycle. And that's what we have to also realize as a community, is how do we put the support systems in place that if you do end up becoming addicted, that what is in place to also prevent you from continuing that cycle. So it's not just the beginning of the road, but the middle, the end of wherever that person might be, to continue to help them and look at all these avenues and how that interconnects. So that's the information that we would be bringing to the community summit, to answer your question. I'll also have a strategist there. And this man, he's from Philadelphia, and this is his forte, and he's worked with DEA on many levels. He's even working with us individually in terms of looking out at our strategic plan for Operation Engage. But I don't like just bringing information to the community. I also like bringing action to whatever I do. So he'll be there to also talk about, okay, we have this information. You have not heard this information. Here's what we can do to move forward as a society. Here's your call to action, whether you're a preventionist, whether you're a parent, whether you're just a community member who ends up, finding this and wanting that information, whomever you might be that's on that virtual community summit, you will have a call to action that if you choose to take steps and can choose to get on this train with us and do the prevention efforts behind it, you will have an opportunity in order to do so.
That kind of what you answered my question was, okay, so we got this information and we're a bunch of Lions clubs, and I'm going to take my own club, Scales of Justice Lions, as an example. Okay, I got the information. What's the next step? Do we go to schools? How do we present it? So if you have that call to action information on this summit, that will, help us to know what to do with all of this information.
Yeah. And Linda, we won't have a lot of time. Actually, I've extended it to 2.5 hours. Most of the time, about 45 minutes, actually 50 minutes of it would come in the panel, but that's also your time as a community member to ask questions of the panel, right? To see where I have these programs, where can I place these programs? How can I get this information out there as well? And that's your call to action in terms of doing that. So yes, he would tie things up in a bow and deliver it, but it's up to us as community members of how we receive that information, number one, and then what do we choose to do about it, right? So he's not going to give you a homework assignment, but it's up to you to realize, and when I say you, us as a community, to realize the resources that we have. And who else on that panel? Who else within our community can we begin to start reaching out to, other than looking to people to continue to reach out to us? Right. Who else can we do that? Whether we're a community member and wanting to take action, or whether we're a parent and we want to find a resource for our child. So you will have that information at that time.
And I think also, Council Chair Linda, our office also provides technical support to Lions. So we can support you all with identifying strategies and resources within the foundation or LCI that could support, for our partnership with the DEA. We are looking at supporting Lions hosting town hall meetings. Gail's going to have an event with 800 people. And as she mentioned, this is not going to be a huge planning. This is going to give you the resources. And even from our conversation, you seem to be very well versed in what other clubs are doing, some things that may spark their interest as well. So I think, being able to even recreate what we're doing here, and you'll have a little bit more information to take back and share, and maybe have a district level meeting, or even encourage clubs to consider inviting Gail out to talk with them, because a lot of the activity does happen at the club level. Mm-hmm. She's mentioned a number of programs that they provide. They provide either the training or the staff to kind of bring these programs to the community. And as Lions, we're there to mobilize and bring the community together to actually be connected with these programs.
Yeah.
Definitely, organizing to participate in National Drug Take Back Day. We have seen that we've seen that go from, we're going to be at this booth outside of the Walgreens or the CVS, to a whole community event, a whole community resource fair. That's something that we as Lions do. We do these community resource fairs, even if you have a club that's doing the mobile vision screening, probably the same places that you would go to do a mobile vision screening is a good place to distribute information that's available through the DEA at no charge, or information that we have through Lions Quest on the prevention of substance use, or how social and emotional learning impacts mental health. We have small promotional grants for Lions Quest, right? And we are starting to see more clubs use this money to basically take their members and sort of bring community members in with the Lions collaboratively versus community Lions, and really to start to have those conversations about how a program like Lions Quest can be part of a drug prevention strategy. How can we do that? And inviting educators or other stakeholders who might be able to help bridge that gap between us in the school system, or us in these other youth programs that may benefit from having a complementary program to help guide their conversations with young people around preventing addiction and kind of create more healthy behaviors. So one of the things that I would suggest is, I know you got a number of your district governors on the line today. And, definitely you guys have a lot of things to maybe think about. I would be more than happy to reconnect with you all and kind of hear back from you some things that you thought might be interesting that may even fit in some of the activities that you guys are currently doing throughout the multiple. Gail has made herself available to have conversations about, strengthening the partnership in the California area. And I think, we're not going to resolve this overnight, but I think that this is a really good first start. And I really do appreciate you jumping in and putting this together. And I see Trudy's got her hand up as well. So,
yes, I have a comment.
Okay.
Yes, I'm one of the sitting district governors, but I had to step down as the LCIF district coordinator because going in as governor. So I know the LCIF and also the Quest. So I was wondering on October the 23rd, and this is sort of addressed to Kimberly and also to Linda's, maybe we should reach out to the LCIF district coordinators because they should know how to apply for that grant. And I just kind of find that maybe the LCIF district coordinator hasn't realized that they could probably relay this DAA portion to the clubs in their district so the other clubs could get more involved. And eventually this would, you pass it down to your community is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because we have at least 15 LCIF district coordinators in our state. And then the other idea I had is maybe the LEO coordinators should be on that October 26th Zoom because they are all about youth. And I always think drugs kind of comes from your home and somehow you go into society and society takes over and now you're a drug addict. The other one is policies and procedures, Linda, where we're in that new phase where we have to be really careful about how we adults have to accommodate these kids, but also be vetted at the same time. But that sort of fits in that category where we don't know if these adult people are addicted to drugs and, other not so good things. So maybe.
You mean the youth policy, youth protection policy?
Yes. So maybe we should reach out to some of the leaders from those committees as well.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? James or Alan or Mike? 3 distinguished district governors that are present, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is James, District Governor. It's a great idea, but how much an ordinary Lion or Lions Club can do other than creating an awareness to the parents and to the community. That part I agree, that is actually part of our responsibility too. But going beyond that, we have some roadblocks and restrictions with the youth protection policies and other things. We don't want to pass in a safe way to interact with the youngsters. But awareness is one of the main things we can do. That's where we need to start, taking tiny steps to improve the community. This is the contribution, what we can do safely, or we can educate our membership to do these kind of things as one of our service ideas or projects. Regarding the funding for creating awareness like grants, if it make it easier without making complicated, even though it's a tiny amount to cover the seminars or gathering people, that will be great without getting complicated. Is this fund coming from LCI or from government funds?
You're muted, Kimberly.
There's a big bar that says you are muted.
Yeah.
So District Governor, there are a few different grant funded programs. I believe LCI has a marketing grant, a marketing and promotions grant that clubs can use to sort of just, build the brand of Lions. We also provide promotional grants under the Lions Plus program. And that's specifically to raise awareness of Lions Quest. The amount of that grant is $1,500. It is not a grant, and we do accept applications on a rolling basis. So that is something that that you guys are eligible for. We also have a community partnership grant that's $15,000. Now, the community partnership grant does allow you to do promotional activities, but it also is able to help you sort of move the conversation forward. If you do have a youth serving organization or a school that has become interested in implementing Lions Quest, that money can actually cover the cost of training, and it can cover the cost of materials for a good number of teachers to use the program. Now, once we make those grants available, there's an expectation that the Lions have carved out an ongoing role for themselves. And I think this is a great opportunity that the DEA kind of comes in and provides support, because similar to how Gail was talking about, we recognize that, having a curriculum-based program is really just one aspect of, typically what a community is needing when prevention has become a priority. And so being able to continue these partnerships with the DEA. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that it's not just the DEA. Usually there are a ton of other community partners, as well as a number of other national partners who are in this network with us, because they also have representation in all of the cities. So, partnering with, the Young Marines, or Gail mentioned the DEA Foundation, or Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. There are a number of national resources that are relying on Lions to sort of put a spotlight on the resources, but also to kind of help mobilize the community to connect them with the resources, which is something that I think we as Lions are really good at. So honestly, when you're talking about raising awareness, one of the attractive things about Lions is that we like meeting. There's mid-year conferences, spring conferences, district conventions, multiple district conventions, club meetings, and these are all opportunities to distribute information and to coordinate with the DEA or any of the partners to come in and do a presentation.
Very good. You had mentioned before, simple things like getting kids to be aware of the dangers of vaping. I think, these are the things that I have in mind is, how do we make little differences in our community by, getting kids to be aware. I think you mentioned something about you had a presentation, or they had a barrel and they were throwing away their vaping materials. Yeah.
We did a presentation we brought a representative out from the CDC. We had law enforcement as there, as well as a health professional, and talking about the sign, number one, signs and symptoms of vaping, and then number two, the risk behind vaping that many of our youth are not aware of. They're not aware of its highly addictive aspects, even grown people.
Mm-hmm. You're on mute.
We lost you.
Your mute sign came on.
She's on the other one. Now we lost our voice here.
Okay, not.
There you are. There you
Oh,
go.
you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, so it's a matter of, again, raising awareness. And we spoke in front of, this is not mandatory for the school. We did this at a high school. More than half of the high school showed up. Number one, whether or not they just thought they were getting out of class time and just coming to something just random, or they really cared to find out about what was going on with vaping. But at the end, we gave them an opportunity that, based upon the information that you hear, that if you decide that you want to stop vaping, and this was not planned at all, but we had so many questions coming from the kids about vaping. It was just, we said, you know what, let's give them this opportunity to dispose of their device if they choose to. But then number two, we made an agreement with the school right then and there that they're going to get them the resources in order to help, no questions asked. If a youth come to you and they say, hey, I have a problem with vaping, I need some help, that they will find them the resources. And literally within a month, that school hired a school resource officer, and they hired a psychologist to come on staff in order to help the kids, because they had so many kids that wanted to come forward and they didn't know what to do. But again, they stepped up and they found the resources in order to help these kids.
Well, I think that this is all really, really good information. It's a matter of going the next step and figuring out how to connect with this large organization with the individual clubs, and give them ideas on how they can use these as their service projects. So that's, I think, the next step.
Absolutely.
Okay, James or Alan or Trudy, anything further?
No,
I don't have anything. Thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you very much. It was a nice session.
No, I have nothing further. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, I really, really appreciate you both taking your time. And Kimberly, I know it's late in the day for you, so I think you can conclude your program, and we'll look forward to the next session.
Yes, thank you so much. And Kim and Linda, again, thank you for putting this together, and I'll be chatting with you real soon.
Okay.
And thank you all. Thank you so much, Council Chair Linda, for putting this together. Thank you to all the district governors and alliance that were in attendance. And I will share my contact information in the chat box. And definitely, if you want to follow up and set another meeting where maybe we'll have time to actually go through some of your ideas and look at how we can coordinate and put together some service projects for you guys in support of the partnership. That's what we're here for.
Great. All right. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Gail, for spending some time with us. And I will wish you all a wonderful evening and good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank